Good morning. All right. We are on time today. That's very rare. Almost never happens. Let me check the sound. All I can say that we are moving very fast. All I can say is that we are moving so fast that it is scary. Okay. Test, 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 test. Huh. No sound. Where's the sound? Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, beautiful. You do. Okay, perfect. Okay, cool. I'm not hearing myself for some reason. So weird. Okay. Good morning, Mr. IDK. Thank you. Okay, so we're moving very fast, I think. And maybe that's a good thing. Um, yeah, in the space, what you can see for the last many years, despite the new presidential administration, we see the of flood of institutional adoption. And while lots of people celebrate federal good morning, while lots of people celebrate it because institutional adoption typically leads to um, to higher numbers, etc. That may not be a good thing, right? Because the institutional adoption, like everybody is celebrating it, but that's not what Web3 was built for. And this one very important topic. So let's go to this article first. It's going to take some time to load. And this article talks about Aave, Morpho, and Maple going to the historical highs in the TVL as of recent 55 billion, like more and more TVL is flowing into the space. Um, so those are some of them are lending borrowing platforms and stuff like that. And so you see how it's a record 55 bill, and then I think Uniswap and some other platforms are uh, cre- going to create like some type of ranking defining whether a specific DeFi protocol is properly prepared for institutional adoption. Like they literally create a standard for institutional adoption, and we celebrate it. We say like, "Oh yeah," and like, even the Bitcoin believers, like the Michael Saylor of the world, he's like, "Well, there are multiple phases of Bitcoin adoption, right? So first things first, we're going to start with retailers started the journey, and then it's going to be corporations, and then it's going to be sovereign governments, and that's why the price is going to be pushing more and more. Um, thing is this, like we need to develop instruments for us, for the people. We call it retail because we are all retail, right? But we need to go for that. We go have to go peer to peer. And an interesting philosophical discussion that I listened to the other day, saying that essentially we just all lost the meaning. Like the reason why we have uh, like the reason why we have hyperinflation, the reason why there is like not one great power potentially or great powers to follow, the reason why religion is still strong, but we don't really like lots of people don't really believe in it anymore, right? Uh, it's all happening due to the fact there's no meaning. Like we just lost the purpose. We need a new freaking goal. We need a new purpose. We need to recreate what we are trying to go to. And that's a very interesting, very needed discussion. That philosophical debate led to a conclusion that lots of countries, including Muslim countries, including Christian countries, uh, they, the leaders, do not believe in religion anymore, but they know that religion is needed. And we have this schizophrenic thought where it's like, I don't really, like, I myself don't believe in it, but I expect my people to believe in it. Right? So I don't believe, that, I gotta say something like, some like don't believe in God, right? Whatever. But other people, but I want my citizens. Like I gotta build the mosques. I gotta build the churches. I need to make sure my people believe in it because religion creates the necessary ethics that keeps communities together. And then Jordan Peterson proceeds. You guys probably familiar with this. This is famous statement. He says, "I live as if God exists," and it's a schizophrenic thought. That's just a pinnacle of the fact that we lost the meaning. Uh, do you believe in God or not? Like, why would you live as if the God existed? Right? Like, meaning that you don't believe in him. Right? So that's literally the definition of what we are. And we experience something similar with Web3, specifically with Ghost. Uh, I mentioned spoke about this yesterday with whales, a couple of whales. Like if we want to move Web3 revolution further, we can't like, oh yeah, we like decentralization, but institutional adoption is fine. Yeah, like it's like Web3, yeah, it's nice, absolutely, yes, we believe in it, but it would be nice if Goldman Sachs became a fucking partner. Of our project. Or the sovereign fund of Norway or Saudi Arabia decided to get in on the action, stuff like that, right? We or like I believe in Web3, but running the node is a little bit complicated. I believe in Web3, but Ghost DAO, I don't know. I don't know. No. Let me wait until the mainnet launch. Um, so people who say that the meaning is not crystallized, it's not very crystal clear what they're trying to do. And maybe we failed to deliver the message of where we're going with this stuff. But where we're going with this stuff, to reiterate, is we are building a decentralized financial ecosystem, self-sustainable, with a couple of integrated partners, such as stablecoins and EVM chains, but not required because, again, those EVM chains, we can potentially recreate them, and stablecoins, we can potentially recreate them. The DEXs, we already know how to recreate. So that was a massive condition, maybe up to 3 months ago. And now we don't need this anymore. We don't need that contingency anymore. We can just redeploy. Not only can we redeploy the DEX ourselves, but we can also monetize it ourselves as a team essentially, and also for the liquidity providers. So kind of found the advantage in that. So when it comes down to a stable coin, if MakerDAO will keep being a piece of shit they are hopefully not turning into with the freezing function, then we may just redeploy that as well. And then if there is some so on Solana, for example, more information to be posted very soon in Wales. But in the documentation of Solana, a super admin can nullify your balance. And that's not a backdoor. That's in their documentation. Uh, that needs to be verified. And once verified, we'll post it in Wales. Talking about if a chain, say any EVM chain decides to do something similar, we can always just fork a chain and just redeploy it from scratch. And boom, we don't need anything, right? So we need to become, if MetaMask decides to start KYCing users, we'll fork the Uniswap, the MetaMask, and just redeploy as well. So we are preparing a financial ecosystem that we as people control. And the beautiful thing about that ecosystem is that it has a monetization aspect, a revenue generation aspect all of that revenue goes back into the ecosystem, goes back to the validators, liquidity providers, and Ghost DAO holders, Ghost DAO participants. So it's all essentially like a positive loop cycle, fully linked between different components of that ecosystem. And in order for us as people to build it, we need people who will be building it, people who will be maintaining it, people who will be familiarizing themselves with it, right? So Ghost is not for tourists. It's a serious battle. And the more and more I'm thinking about this, the more I'm realizing how important the mission is and also how huge that vision is. So I did the math the other day, again, shared with the whales yesterday. I was a little bit mistaken on the low end. I actually underestimated. So Uniswap did trade almost $3 billion worth of volume since the launch in 2019. That's been 6 years. They traded not billion, $3 trillion worth of volume. Now, the team and the early investors would charge 0.05% of every single transaction. And that's where I made a mistake. So when you multiply 3 billion by 0.05%, you get $1.5 billion of actual profit. This is not revenue minus expenses. This is fucking profit. Now, of course, Uniswap then proceeded to create a legal entity, like some type of foundation, hire people, blah, blah, blah. But they didn't have to do it because all it comes down to is whatever they have, 1,000, 2,000, whatever lines of code, which generated $1.5 billion of profit. And now here's a question. $1 billion question. Who is this profit was taken from? Any guesses? Please put your guesses in the chat. But the answer is like while you're putting your guesses, JP Morgan is coming out with their own stablecoin, JPMD, if I'm not mistaken, right? At least that's the rumor. It's going to be live on Base blockchain, which is obviously built by Coinbase, and Coinbase, of course, has nothing to do with the government. It's self-made people, right? Like all self-made fucking entrepreneurs who have all the licenses in the world. Gemini, we're not able to get the licenses, but Coinbase was able to get all the licenses necessary to become the #1 exchange in the US. So powerful that when all the data is leaked, no politician is discussing, potential shutdown of the exchange or any legal actions incriminated against the founders or current management governance of Coinbase. That was, of course, sarcastic statement regarding how corrupt Coinbase is most likely. So the $1.5 billion, so Mr. Adike says transaction from the users. That's correct. So taken from the users, right? But I would say a more right answer is that 1.5 billion is taken away from Web2. Because users paying transaction fees no matter what. Question is, who are they paying those transaction fees to? So yes, the end recipient is the user who pays for the fee. But that user could be, first of all, institutional user, but also retail user. Currently, or without Uniswap, they would have to go through the exchange. If they're going to go through some type of P2P, peer-to-peer, where they literally get connected to a human being on the other side, there are services like this, including on Binance, where you have some crypto, some people have cash, or vice versa, and you guys literally meet physically in person and conduct the transaction. It's illegal in many countries because it's defined as an unregistered money transmittance or essentially unregistered exchange, right? Some exchanges were closed down on that, so they had all the tech, but they didn't have the licenses, so they were closed down, and the founders actually went to jail for being running an illegal operation, illegal exchange, not registered with the government. But when you go P2P, the problem with the P2P is there's risk, right? Like you can always, God forbid, get faced with a scammer, or let alone a scammer who will just scam you for crypto, or let alone, a gang. And cases like this are more and more relevant where, it's a gang and the gang is just extracting not just the crypto you want to send them initially, but everything, right? Like threatening your life. So kidnapping, etc. Like it's a real thing. It's not a joke. It's not anything to be joked about. It's not funny. So while the P2P may introduce lower fees, but if you conduct, say, if out of every 10 transactions, one transaction fails, your fee is 10%, right? So the fees are quite expensive. Now, on exchanges, the fees are also growing. So therefore, the user would pay the fee no matter what. In fact, the 0.3% fee that the to the what's it called to the DEX is nothing compared to the fee that the user would have paid to the exchange, because on the exchange the fee is typically 0.5%. So the Uniswap is actually cheaper than most exchanges, most centralized exchanges. And that 1.5 billion is taken away from Web 2 is very inspiring, because, like, despite me feeling relative envy for the fuckers from Base and JP Morgan, who, like, oh, they're probably going to be like transmitting trillions of dollars in volume. But I recognize that Circle went public and the stock went up. Stock, not token. Stock of Circle went up. That's crazy. Uh, it's absolutely crazy. The stock of a stablecoin went up. It makes sense because they generate revenue, but it's just like it's such an oxymoronic statement. Stablecoin is supposed to be stable. How come the stock is going? It's so crazy. Well, the reason why it's going is because those holders of stablecoin do not get exposure to the interest rates. So Circle earns the interest rates and that the revenue, and boom. So despite this envy, I do recognize that all they do is just upgrading their old school system to, it's like it's an awkward, very awkward upgrade, very unsustainable upgrade to Web 2.5 Rails, and they think that something is going to change, right? Like, and they keep telling us that that's the innovation, that's how we innovate. But the real innovation is 10x, 100x improvement. The reason why 2.5 Web 2.5 is no close to 2. Whatever any type of improvement is, your life doesn't change. My life does not change. Like, our lives don't change. Our lives are still the same. We still don't get transparency. We still don't control our money. We still don't control our funds. I was sending a couple of international wires the other day, and listen, the international wires are like, it's like, that's where you recognize that it's not your money. Again, you think it's your money, but the bank officer has a different opinion, right? The money is supposed to be mobile, right? So you're supposed to be like, I'm holding money in the bank. I'm supposed to be able to transact freely, right? It's a free market, but it's not a free market because every single time there's a wire, has to be verified through clearinghouse. I got a couple of emails that I had to respond to regarding the purpose of the transfers. I mean, that means that my money is not my money. Like, I have to qualify myself. I have to interview. I have to go through a fucking interview process to send a fucking wire transfer. And those of you who think that's not a problem, you're just not transacting enough. You're just not transacting enough in the banking system of today. It's ridiculous. It's only getting worse and worse. It's getting more and more censored. Like, that's the word, literally. So the vision for us for Web3 is, of course, if we want to be ready for the battle, we have to like running a node. Like, the thing is, we have to create a system. Like, running a node, familiarizing yourself with the Ghost DAO, having a guide and stuff. Like, it's the easiest fucking task in the world. Yeah, of course it's scary. Of course it's difficult. Like, nobody's saying it's easy, but like, compared to what we're trying to do, it's the easiest fucking task. If, of course, you believe in the vision. And if you don't believe in the vision, of course, I see how it's difficult, because if the money potential upside is the only kind of motivation, then of course it's difficult, because money is the worst motivation, always the worst motivation. The vision, the mission, the vision, the pain that could be resolved through Ghost, those are the actual, trying to trying to become a historical figure as one of the early founders of such a magnificent project, because the team is only doing so few things. Like, the team is only doing the tech, right? Like, everything else is a community effort. I'll show you the power of community effort and some members of on this call today, like they're doing significant, humongous work right now, spending a lot of time that they could be spending anywhere else, developing stuff for this project. It's a community freaking initiative, and that's the power in it. Um, I want to do the analysis on Monero in particular because I'm realizing more and more how extremely liquid the network is. So this my theory, which I would like to confirm, verify with the statistics, is that Bitcoin holders are mostly holding Bitcoin. There's of course humongous quantity of transactions just because the price of Bitcoin is so huge, and the likes of BlackRock with the ETFs and shit like found the utility there. Absolutely. What it comes down to the actual transactional volume, not the not how to say, not the AUM being transferred, assets under management, meaning not the size of the check, like not the size of the transaction being transferred, but the actual quantity of transactions. Something is telling me I need to verify. It seems like Monero is actually way more liquid in transactions than many other networks. We don't take Ethereum or any other smart contract networks because smart contracts themselves also classify as a transaction. But I'm talking about peer to peer because Monero does not have smart contracts. So peer to peer. So I need to verify this. But the likes of Monero most likely transact more in terms of transactional quantity, signifying that you know, like the product is needed and the community maintaining Monero is what achieved kind of what helped achieve such milestones, and that is what like Monero will go in history, Bitcoin will go in history, um, Uniswap V2 if they stop fucking around will go in history, MakerDAO if they stop fucking around will go in history. I don't think 100 years from today uh, anybody will remember Tether. I don't think anybody 100 years from today, 1,000 years from today, will remember Fartcoin, right? Like, or Pepe, right? Like, but they will remember Bitcoin and they will remember Monero because most likely those will still exist by that. And I'm not saying this because I'm this, like brainwashed believer, but those 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 projects do have the network effect, and those projects do have the actual adoption by the right users, and they're fighting. The communities are fighting for their existence, right? And that's what matters, right? So that's just again a point to signify that we cannot be joining Ghost, believing like as if Ghost would be great. We have to either believe in it or we're gonna fail, right? And if you don't believe in it, it's fine. Maybe that's not your thing. Move on. But if you do believe in it, you need to immerse yourself into the matter, realizing that the current economic system, no matter even if it's going to be, even if U.S., Europe is going to, China going to get out of their current financial crisis, it's not going to be. It's going to be luck. It's not going to be your personal achievement, and you have zero fucking control regarding what is happening, right? Like you have no idea what the central bank will decide, what type of behind the curtain moves are going to take place to get that economy out of crisis. And in most cases, it won't happen. In most cases, the current, government officials will fail. We see this in Europe already. All the markets across the board, British, French, um, Italian, like they're all down. The only stock index which is not completely down is German, and I didn't check it this year, right? Like, but they all significantly losing to the U.S. significantly losing to Indian market, which had experienced a massive upside. And the stock market is, of course, that's not matching the health of the economy, but that's a good indication of where the capital is flowing. And the reason why S&P is going up is because money is flowing to the U.S. But we don't know what's like. It's over. It's flown so much that the P ratio is so high that we can expect the outflow any day. And then gold, in gold terms, S&P did not grow at all because gold went up so as equally high, equally as the S&P 500. So there's not much upside in S&P adjusted for gold because the flows into gold were similar to the flows in S&P. It's a matter of time, maybe yes, maybe not, when money will start flowing out of the S&P again relative to other instruments such as gold or such as Bitcoin. All right. So we're not comparing stuff anything to zero because inflation is not zero. We have to compare it, to at least to the inflation or say monetary supply inflation of say 7% a year. So compared to that number, S&P will probably be down or flat. Um, And if you want to live in that system where you have to earn the money and you don't know where to put it because you did not create the infrastructure yourself, that's fine. That's your life. Something is the events happened in my life, in life of the team, in life of many whales, in life of many council members, tells to the contrary that we want to control our infrastructure. We want to make sure that whatever we earn, we can actually at least save. And that's the thing about Austrian economics, which I learned literally the other day. Austrian economics, the whole point is of it, which I didn't know, is not to make the economic situation, like the kind of the economical policies more efficient or anything. The purpose of Austrian economics is to help you protect your money. I didn't know that. Like that's literally the conclusion. That's all that Austrian economics is trying to do. So Austrian economics is trying to make sure that your money is not inflated away by any uh, any external measures such as inflation or um, loss of purchasing power in any other way or bank freezing your stuff or anything, right? So that's what we're trying to do with Ghost as well. The power of communities, of course, is, for example, this is Cosmos. So thanks to feedback from Scorpion and Mr. IDK and Sparta, we were able to essentially, like, the feedback was not just, oh, change this, change that. That was extremely thorough feedback. Those whales that I just mentioned, they prepared thorough documents with specific, like, points of, correct, like what needs to be corrected, like very specific feedback of what they think has to be changed. And 80% of that feedback has been adjusted already. One of the feedbacks was like the onboarding for validators is very difficult. There are too many guides. And yes, there have been too many guides because, testnet 1.0, then testnet 2.0, then like testnet 2 point something, then testnet 3.1, 3.0, 3.1, like so many testnets. And the team is pretty tiny, right? Like, and it's community effort again. So thanks to Cosmos, now it's cleaned up completely. Thanks to feedback from Scorpion, Mr. IDK, and Sparta. And these are the three guides to become a full node operator, followed by the guide how to become a node operator, a validator, sorry. And that's it. So these are the only four guides you need with adjusted moments. About 80% of the feedback has been adjusted within a couple of days of being received. So thank you for that. And that's exactly, and things now becoming easier to follow. Same thing with the Ghost worldview, where, for example, the liquidity provider fundamentals are now grouped into this category, so it's easier to track it. Same thing for the understanding of DEX right there. And then more and more, so the Ghost DAO. So I'm going to finish the liquidity provider fundamentals. I have about like maybe 3 or 4 more pieces. 2 articles already finished. They're not scheduled but finished. They just need to be rewritten and published. So we'll probably have maybe another 3, 4 pieces on the liquidity provider fundamentals, and then we're going to switch to finally to the Ghost DAO. So we'll like essentially those 2 sections here will finish on the DEX education, and we're going to go to the Ghost DAO education, including Olympus DAO education, right? So how we different, what's Ghost DAO, how is it beneficial compared to all the other protocols, and how Ghost DAO is different from Olympus DAO, and then we're going to go in detail regarding every single freaking thing. eGhost, what is eGhost? sGhost, what is sGhost? Ghost, what is Ghost? GMV, what's GMV? pGhost, what's pGhost? Like every single one of those will be specifically defined. Each one will have its own article, most likely, regarding pros and cons. Some things will be changed. Those articles, lots of them are living and breathing, so they will be adjusted as we go. But because certain tokenomics, details will still need to be finalized, but high level will be presented almost immediately. So yeah, so the summer is going to be very busy with those things. Another interesting section here is Ghost DAO introduction, which I would like to cover one more time. I think we briefly went over it. So we finally learned how to pronounce it as nomenclature. So Ghost ecosystem nomenclature, where is it? It's here. So we need to start making a decision. So in a couple of days, we'll be publishing, and this is compliments to Cosmos for organizing all of it. Also community effort. So we need to be making a final decision soon regarding naming, because something very wild is happening in a month. We're targeting the date. Gonna make an announcement of the announcement. We're targeting the date of July 23rd in particular. Um, on July 23rd, we are intending to launch an entry bridge from EVM to Ghost. So the bridge has two components, entry and exit. So we're going to focus on the entry bridge for now. And in order for us to conduct that, we're going to be launching a gatekeeper smart contract. And thus we'll be needing to adjust the Ghost DAO. And the Sepolia Ghost DAO launch will be also delayed to July 23rd, maybe a little bit earlier, or maybe a little bit later, but around that time, because we need to change the smart contract on Ghost DAO to accommodate for the gatekeeper. So it's a very tiny change, but still has to exist. We have to test it, blah, 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 make sure everything works. So essentially, that change will be signifying the integration between Ghost DAO and the bridging. That's another way how we are going to be different from Olympus, because Olympus does not have native bridging. That's very huge. Why that's huge is because in order to become a validator, no longer do you have to, I'm sorry, but beg, right? Like, and we are like, I think it's a shitty freaking thing right now. Like, it's really helping the community, but it's kind of like, I don't know, it's a little bit too manual, right? Like to beg for Casper, to become a validator in the general thread. So with this development, you won't need to beg for Casper anymore. All you have to do is go to Ghost DAO, buy Fatso, wrap that into Stinky, right? And then after you do that, you simply bridge it to Casper coin on the testnet, and you're done. So you need 6.9 Casper, great. You can always get it on the Ghost DAO and bridge it, and you have it. That's it. Simple, straightforward. So that's going to happen in July. But not only that, there's some other things. I don't want to announce them yet. Not just the bridge, not just the beginning of the bridge, but also some additional components, user interfaces, etc., that also will be prepared by that time. So the summer is going to be extremely busy. And we need to make the decisions on the naming for testnet and mainnet. So the mainnet is finalized. Like we know it's going to be eGhost, S Ghost, P Ghost. I don't think we have a question about that. And the Ghost coin for the Ghost chain, unless you guys have some significant, significant protest against it. That's what's going to be for the mainnet. Testnet having issues given whatever. So those issues we'll try to resolve with the new redeployment on Sepolia, and then Hoodie will have to be redeployed as well. We'll also introduce a back compatibility swap where you can swap your GDAI back for Ethereum on Sepolia and Hoodie, because some of you guys purchased it, some of you guys mined it, put tremendous amount of effort. We would like to give it back to you guys. So you'll be able to get it back. For on Sepolia, currently it's probably going to be a manual redistribution back. For new Sepolia is going to be automated. For new Hoodie is going to be a manual process. For new Hoodie is going to be automated. But what we need to make a final decision on very soon, in the next 7 to 10 days, is the nomenclature for naming all these tokens. And while this is like a pretty silly matter, like why are we spending so much time on it? In reality, it's quite important because like we need to recode the smart contracts. We need to make sure the smart contracts fully align with the user interface, representation of that stuff. So again, just to remind everybody, so current version is Fatso Stinky Ghost. The second alternative is eGhost, S Ghost on the testnet. Third alternative, suggested by Cosmos, and I actually like it more and more now. Initially, I thought that's a bad idea, but now I like it more and more. eCasper, S Casper, Casper. And the reason why I like this more is because, contrary to my original assumption that we won't have a testnet, we will actually have a testnet. So Ghost Chain will have a mainnet and testnet forever, essentially. Because the testnet will be needed to test certain things before we go and deploy them on the mainnet to avoid any issues. So therefore, since we will always have the testnet, and testnet is kind of the name for it is Casper for now, it makes sense to just rename eCasper as Casper, and then the Casper token will be switched for Casper coin. That may be confusing. I think, Mr. IDK, I think it's confusing for you specifically. Maybe confusing for some people. I understand the confusion, but I think again, you guys will be voting, right? So like, I'm not here trying to bias you into my belief system. It's just more like explaining how I'm thinking about it. Um, when you have Casper and Casper, you know exactly there's like it's a 1-to-1, so you know like for sure what's happening, and you won't be able to really make mistakes because you'll always see which network you're located on. So Casper on Ethereum, you'll see it's Ethereum, while Casper on Ghost, you'll see it's Casper on Ghost, and then you switch, say, to bridge that to Casper to Avalanche, you'll see that it's Casper but on Avalanche. So that way, we just have a Casper ecosystem, fully interoperable, also fully cross-chain. And then we'll have a Ghost ecosystem on the mainnet, also fully cross-chain. So kind of the idea is, for the mainnet, it's eGhost, sGhost, Ghost, Ghost. For the testnet, it's eCasper, sCasper, Casper, and Casper. Of course, up for debate and up for the polls. The polls will be introduced later this, in the beginning of essentially of this upcoming week, as we need to make that decision. Um, we'll be making the poll for like over the course of a week, going through discussions. Again, that's a silly matter, but it's not really that silly since it created so much confusion, and we need to really resolve it once and for all. So that's one of the things to discuss. Now, another thing to discuss is so testnet faucets, right? So this article, I'm not sure if it's published, but you can find the faucets, native faucet on Ghost, which is getting more and more traction. I think we're getting 20 to 30 requests on average every single day now, and more testnets are being added. So you have Sepolia, BNB, Hudi, um, Tron. Tron is added, and I think there has been some thought about potentially adding Solana and Sui, although that's completely anti vision, but it's not. It's really just to gather traffic. And as you can see in the builders group, the beautiful thing is the builders group is getting more and more users every day. Those builders, new builders, uh, are being redirected from the faucet. So now faucet is turning into a generation traffic tool. It's very, very efficient because it has been just launched recently, and we are already receiving like a lot of conversions, and that's massive compliments to the team and massive compliments to Cosmos for organizing the marketing behind it and the funnel behind it. So you can start this article whenever it's going to be published. If it's published, it's published. So you can see the RPC endpoints, add those testnets, and start mining. Either using Ethereum Classic is also one of our faucets. So you can either use the Ghost Native faucet or the alternative faucet, but start mining now. Start mining as soon as you can, because the Ghost DAO will be deployed on those testnets sooner than later. And impermanent loss. So please familiarize yourself with this. So this article has been published. More articles on impermanent loss will be published. Not this week, but like in the next like 2 or 3 weeks, just because of the scheduling of the articles. We publish 2 or 3 articles per week. So wait for that, but you can familiarize yourself with the impermanent loss already. There are articles about impermanent loss against the DEX fees and also the cumulative DEX fees. So the formula that Uniswap used, I was finally able to derive it. It's still mistaken, but I was able to derive it. So the article on its derivation will be published, and it's going to be the first public derivation of the Uniswap DEX fee formula, because nothing can be found online on that matter. Nothing. Zero. Zilch. And then we'll delay the article about the units, like how the formula is wrong. It's wrong. The aspect, like I know the right formula, but the derivation of the formula is slightly complicated. um, so and the kind of the error is roughly 0.2% when you kind of test on many numbers. So that article may be delayed a little bit in favor of articles about Ghost DAO. Now, final thing for today, maybe we'll end with this. So we need to. So it's taking some time to load. Okay, cool. So we need to start thinking, and I've published this in Wales many times already. We need to focus on two specific types of parameters for single chain goes down and multi chain goes down. I'm not talking about cross chain yet, single chain and multi chain. What does it mean? So we have certain parameters: market cap, price of Ghost, circulating supply of S Ghost versus circulating supply of S Ghost versus total supply of E Ghost. You have the backend of FATSO. We have the index. All these will be explained also in articles in very meticulous detail. But we need more parameters. We need more metrics. We need more KPIs. So ideally, would like to hear from you guys your thought process regarding what needs to be added for single chain, multi chain. I think last time, week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, Sparta, if I'm not mistaken, suggested that we incorporate multi chain, like we have a user interface for multi chain balance of your tokens. So like FATSO multi-chain balance, Ghost multi-chain balance, S Ghost multi-chain balance. So like specifically your personal wallet, but multi-chain. Expand it to like which chains you actually have your balances on. That's super fair feedback. So we need both single chain and multi-chain. One, for example, just throw some ideas for you guys. For the single chain, what I was thinking is run this by some of the whales. They liked it as well. For example, time to get to $1 billion market capitalization. So it's a pretty arbitrary metric. Like, why $1 billion? Well, why not? But essentially, how much time, based on the current growth, it will take for this protocol, that specific chain, to reach 1 billion market cap, 1 billion worth of market capitalization. So Hoodie was launched maybe 10 days ago, let's say 2 weeks, whatever. In 2 weeks, it grew from I think the initial market cap was 30,000. It grew to 150 million. So it went up how many? I'm not sure. Let me calculate. Probably 500x in a matter of 2 weeks. So let me just make sure. So 30,000. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think 500x. So in that case, it needs to grow another 6x. So how much time will it take for this market cap, this protocol to reach $1 billion market cap? So again, we don't know, but this is a projected type of metric that will be conducted purely based on historical data. Future does not represent is not represented by the past. Absolutely, disclaimers will be placed, but it's just an interesting metric just to give a perspective on where we're going. Same thing with the so that's Hoodie. Same thing on Cipolla. So Cipolla was launched, I think, in about 4 months ago now, maybe 3 months ago, and it's 15 million, right? So it started also at 30,000, so it's up 50x, not 500, but 50x. So how much time will it take? So it needs to go another 60 times in order to get to $1 billion market capitalization. So how much time will it take for Cipolla to grow to those heights, right, of $1 billion market cap? So those are interesting kind of discussions, interesting KPIs to potentially be included on maybe on a separate page, maybe here. Of course, we're talking about, I kept mentioning many times, risk-free value. So this is a risk-free value. We need to include a market value. All right. So the risk-free value so far is $46 per token, while the market value is actually higher. It's 655,000 divided by the supply of roughly 14,000. Say round this to 15,000. So it's going to be 650 divided by 15. That's going to be roughly 40, right? So while the actually no, is it true? Well, you got the point, right? So the market value also needs to be incorporated properly into the thing to have a more wholesome view on KPIs. So I think I'll end here, unless you guys have any questions. Maybe let me wait a minute or two. But would be nice to have certain ideas from you guys in the Whales group regarding individual KPIs and multi-chain KPIs that would be nice to place. The whole spreadsheet on multi-chain KPIs will be presented soon. I showed it to the team. I showed it to some whales. It's lots of KPIs, but they are extremely fucking daunting to track. Um, if if accounting is in your blood, you would love it. You would dig yourself into it. But if you are not, how to say, numbers excite you, but not as much, or numbers don't excite you at all, then of course you'll find it extremely boring and actually daunting. So I don't want to put all of those. The feedback was like, please do not put all of those KPIs on one multi-chain UI because it's going to be daunting as hell. Um, Again, I love them myself. Like I love the numbers, but like it's clearly not, not the, how to say, not the passion, not the forte. I would say not the forte, but more like not the passion of most of us. So in which case, yeah, we need to oversimplify it, but also create some interesting KPIs, like spicy KPIs that actually describe the essence of what we're trying to do, right? Like it, they're not supposed to be like, oh, like in your face, like, oh, 150 million market cap. Like they're not supposed to make the situation bigger necessarily. They're supposed to be like spicy, interesting, inquisitive KPIs that will inspire users, A and B, that will describe the essence of what we're trying to get to. The reason why, for example, 150 market cap is interesting is not because it's exciting, but because it's bringing the essence of, oh, shit, with not a lot of manipulation. When I say manipulation, I mean user manipulation, user manipulating with Ghost DAO, interacting with it. With not enough manipulation, the market cap can grow to such highs so fucking fast. And that's how money works, by the way. That's how modern, real fiat money works. We're just replicating that scenario while adding the Austrian economics component to it. So if we can get to 150 million so fast, how fast can we get to a billion market cap? How fast can we go to a trillion market cap? How fast can we match the market cap of Bitcoin, for example, right? So that is not like, oh, it's not like, oh, in your face exciting. It's more like, oh shit, the essence of Ghost DAO is that money can be actually printed pretty much out of thin air, with the exception that in Ghost DAO, they're not printed out of thin air, but they're printed with the backend for every single minted e-ghost. And that's the magic. That's the fucking essence, right? So think about those KPIs. Let me address Mr. IDK's question. 1 second. Let's see it fully. Okay. Is there one ghost coin across all chains or one ghost coin per chain? Not the token, but the native coin. So there's just one, and that again the confusion. Yeah, I think the confusion is due to the fact that, like, I think Mr. IDK yourself kind of have been discussing this question with the team the other day. I think your mind is, how to say, comprehending certain things like very easy once you do it once, and once you do the bridging once, I think it will like really make sense. And that's why I think we accelerated the launch of the bridge to show you guys kind of like how easy it's going to be, right? Like how powerful the bridge is going to be. But just to reiterate one more time, maybe let me even, actually no, I'm not going to write it. So we have eGhost, sGhost, and Ghost tokens on every single EVM chain. Ghost coin only exists on the Ghost chain. That's it. There's no Ghost coin anywhere else outside of the Ghost chain. So when you bridge Ghost token from Avalanche, or Ghost token from Ethereum, or Ghost token from Linea, or Ghost token from Celo, or Ghost token from, I don't know, Gnosis, you will be bridging that to the Ghost coin, which only exists in, essentially, in one example on the Ghost chain. That's it. Ghost coin only on the Ghost chain. So you don't have Ghost chains everywhere. You only have Ghost tokens everywhere, which are all swappable for Ghost coin and vice versa. Yeah, because of keep asking these questions in Wales once the polls are out, because the votes need to be very thorough and very like educational on everybody's fronts. Because once we change the renaming, I think we're gonna be stuck with it. That's it. It's gonna be a community decision, and we're gonna be stuck with it. So, but we'll have to go through persuasion as well. So I will be very much persuading my angle of eCasper as Casper, but that's my persuasion. Yeah, of course, I'm going to be kind of potentially pushing for it, but like you have to say no, fuck that. I like this version. Present your alternative versions as well. Or say, nah, screw that. Let's just go as ghost, e-ghost, as ghost, ghost. Like, let's just go that way. Like, so fight for whatever you think is right. And if everybody does that, then we'll actually get the right naming. Because I'm doing the naming for myself because I see the next, because I think I see the next 2 or 3 steps, but I could be wrong. Who the fuck am I, right? I'm just one user. We have other users here. So we all as users need to make that decision. And whatever that decision is going to be, that's what we're going to rename it. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you so much for your questions and your contributions. I see you guys next week. That's it for today. Have a good one. Bye-bye.